watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
Welcome to this week's edition of The End Zone, along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels. We're joined by former Sooner great and 2003 Heisman winner Jason White. Gentlemen, the college football regular season and championships have wrapped up. We can now all lose our minds over the college football playoff and all of the postseason shenanigans with the transfer portal. This is the time of year that I think college football fans both love and hate. But Jason, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Are you a very opinionated person? You going to come on with some hot takes here?
Sometimes can be opinionated,
okay.
But I've gotten better the older I've gotten, so I don't have to be so correct now.
Yeah, sure. We got a lot to talk about here.
Able to understand that you can take a breath right before you just throw out the venom immediately when something goes down.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
Well, we appreciate it, and obviously we're going to talk about the Heisman Trophy coming up this weekend a little bit later in the show. So the timing of you joining us this week worked out really well. But I want to jump into this OU offense, and I guess the first thing is, who's going to be left to play Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl with the transfer portal going wild? But this is an offense that struggled all year long, and now they're going to have a few weeks to get ready for this bowl game.
Right. For me, I think this is one of the downfalls of the transfer portal. It really makes an impact on some of these games.
Yeah,
you're right. Who is going to play on the bowl game? But I really feel like OU's a deep enough school. They've got guys waiting in the wings, and someone's going to step up and they're going to take advantage of that opportunity. That's one of the positives. But if you think about other schools, they don't have that luxury. When their guys are gone, they're gone. But I do feel like this is one of those the downfalls of it.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it should be changed. Maybe after the bowl game, have the portal open or something.
Sure, yeah.
Just to get that last game out of them, especially for their teammates. Not making that player make that decision as well.
Right.
Because sometimes, it's hard for those guys to make those decisions because they are so connected to the team. And maybe that's not what's best for them at that time. So I think some changes need to be made for that, for sure.
Amen.
The bowl game has become so, unfortunately, devalued.
Yeah.
Think back, I know
By
you
college football's own doing, right?
Yeah. You played in 2 national championships, I know. But how important were the bowl games you did get to play in?
I can remember the first bowl game I ever was a part of was the Independence Bowl in Shreveport. But at that time, OU hadn't been to a bowl game in a while, and so it was a big deal. So, that was a big deal. And then the very next year, played in the national championship was 2000.
Right.
But then after that, we did play in the Cotton Bowl one year.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that we don't see is what the players get to do during that week, the gifts they get during that week.
Sure.
And I feel like that's all gone because of the college football playoffs. And these bowls probably just don't have the money to put up something like that.
Right.
Now.
Good point.
There used to be this point of you want to make a bowl game because you get all this practice time, right? And it's a building block for the next year. Well, with the transfer portal and all that, you really don't even know. Even for the guys that do decide to stay in this window, the next window potentially opens up and they're gone. So it's not even the same situation of let's get our younger guys ready and start building for next year because you can't guarantee that that's going to be your roster.
Right. I think this is a time that the guys that are sticking around that, hey, we're going to get you a bunch of reps. And I can remember when I played, we would take maybe 10 reps of the offensive part, and then the rest was, the second and third team guys. They would always have fun scrimmages, for the second and third string guys. So it made it fun to be a part of and see those guys evolve as well. But now, you're right. It's like we're just trying to find people to get in the seat to play the game.
Right.
Back when I played, it was these guys are just getting practice, getting ready for spring.
Right.
That way they had a head start when spring ball started. But now these guys are getting ready to play an actual game.
You mentioned, I think, before we started, you went to the Tennessee game, right? Okay. Michael Hawkins likely going to be the starting quarterback for the bowl game, right? What did you think of his performance against Tennessee and then just the type of quarterback he is?
He's young. He made a lot of young mistakes. I feel like just even sitting back after, they put Arnold back in, I feel like him sitting back and watching is probably even helped him even more to mature over the year. And so, I feel like he's going to have a statement to make. And so I think you're going to get the best game out of him that you could possibly get.
Yeah.
But he's a young quarterback. I think coming in and realizing, I don't know if you guys probably noticed, but it was almost like he went through one read and then he ran every time.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And if you guys recall in 2001, the OU Texas game, that was me. Like, that first guy's not open, I'm out of here. Like, I try to make something happen with my legs. So, but as you grow and evolve and understand the offense better, you stop doing that. You stop going through 1, 2, 3, and then maybe run. But that's one of the advantages of having a quarterback that can scramble.
You mean to tell me that players mature with experience? No way. I don't believe it. Right? Unbelievable. I'm curious to get your take on the I guess path for the Oklahoma offense. They hire Ben Arbuckle from Washington State. We'll see if John Mateer follows and how all the transfer portal stuff plays out. But what type of offense do you want to see from OU going forward?
And I think what they're good at, I think that's what makes a coach really good is he evaluates what he has and what style of offense that they can run. A lot like Coach Venables did when he got here. He couldn't really run the defense he wanted to run. He needed a few years to recruit his guys. And so you've seen that defense evolve into what he wants to run. So I think if he comes in, evaluates what he's got, and take advantage of that. I still feel like one of our things that we have to improve at OU is our offensive line. And with that being said, so if you don't have a whole lot of time to throw, hey, let's just do some quick game. Let's do a lot of screens. So I'm sure he's going to come in and evaluate the players he's got. But me personally, I would like to see him, mix it up a little bit, and not just be so, hey, we're going to run 60% pass and 40% run. Yeah. Maybe that game we're going to run that, but maybe the next game, maybe it's 80-20.
Amen. Amen.
And so just switch it up.
X's and O's, not Johnny's and Joe's.
That's right. That's right. If this were moving the chains, I would give it touchdown right now because that was the perfect answer.
Good.
We'll get to moving the chains in just a little bit, but up next, it's the college football playoff, and we'll see what kind of hot takes Jason has on that. That's next on the End Zone. All right, gentlemen, we finally have the 12-team playoff in place, and I can't wait to watch these games finally play out. I mean, I think it's going to be a ton of fun to see these matchups. I know there's still a lot of people that are upset about maybe the 12 teams that got in or the format, whatever, but I do think the football is going to be fun. I am surprised that we're nearly a week removed from the announcement, and the SEC nor Alabama has figured out a way to weasel their way into this thing.
It's interesting that has not happened. Yes, I figured that would be the case. There's some fun matchups. Anything you like that stands out right away?
I've always thought this since it's came out is I really feel like, Oregon being as good as they've been, and I feel like that they kind of got slighted by the side of the bracket they got on.
Sure.
And so I feel like their route's going to be a little bit tougher than, the side over here, Georgia.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But one of the games I'm super interested. I love that the 8 and 9 matchup there. Of course, I love Josh Heupel to death, a good friend. Yeah. But I'm excited to see him play against Iowa State. I think that'll be a great game to watch.
I think that's a fun one, and it is the best game of the initial ones.
The first round matchup.
Yeah,
for sure.
it is. The all Indiana matchup with Notre Dame, Indiana is kind of cool, right? Yeah. Going to South Bend, Indiana's got to travel up there in state. Penn State, SMU on this side of the bracket, just mentioned it. It's an intriguing matchup, kind of a contrast of styles, right? SMU's want to run, they want to score and light up the scoreboard. Penn State did a good job keeping up with Oregon in the Big Ten championship, but they're more of a grinder team, right?
Yeah.
They don't care to score 40.
To Jason's point about the draw that Oregon got, Oregon and Ohio State both beat Penn State.
Right.
And this is like the region of death, right? I mean, congratulations. Your reward is potentially playing each other in the second round. And I'm not saying Penn State's path is easy because I think SMU and Boise are good football teams. Yep. But nobody can argue that their path has least resistance compared to what Oregon is dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. Penn State could beat SMU and Boise and be in the semifinals.
Wild.
It's just crazy to think about. And Oregon's got to beat two of the best teams in the country, really. And then there's a chance you play Texas, who is arguably one of the best teams in the country. That is a vaunted side on over there for sure.
Maybe Tennessee will pull off the upset, and then Ohio State can not only file lawsuits and try and make planting a flag a felony, but beating them in the first round becomes a felony as well. Yeah. What is the most likely first round upset in your mind?
I like this one.
Yeah.
I've always been an underdog fan, and I feel like that SMU has came a long way over the years, and I think this might be their year to at least have that first round upset.
Definitely. That's one that I'm keeping an eye on. Notre Dame feels a bit inflated to me because they've beaten a lot of bad teams by a lot, right? And Indiana's kind of the same way. They haven't really beaten anybody. But that being said, a little motivation playing an in-state rival, air quotes. That's one that I would keep an eye on just because I'm not sure Notre Dame is as good as we've given them credit so far.
So the next question I was going to ask, what is, if you had to say, this is the one I feel the best about, what is that game? Because for me, that's Notre Dame, and that's not necessarily because of Indiana and me thinking they're bad, but Notre Dame's style travels, right? Like it plays well against everybody. They run the football, and they play great defense.
I think so. I mean, honestly, in terms of feeling good, it feels like Texas is a lock to make the semifinal. I know that's kind of unfair to say, but the magic of Cam Scadaboo there at Arizona State. But it feels like they got a pretty nice run to get there if they needed to.
Yeah, that's my pick. I think that's a lock for Texas.
Yeah.
I just feel like Texas is the game they played against Georgia.
Sure.
They make 2 field goals. They win that game in regulation. So I feel like that's my lock.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy this while you can, because Greg Sankey is already doing what he can to change the format after 26, which this thing is only contractually agreed upon for 2 years. So enjoy it while you can, because it's going to change before long. All right, it's Moving the Chains next here on the End Zone. All right, it's time for this week's edition of Moving the Chains, as Jason White is our guest, 2003 Heisman winner. We'll talk Heisman Trophy before we get out of here, but Jason, simple concept. You start with 1st and 10. We fire questions your way, and depending how well or not well you answer them, we give you positive or negative yardage. The goal is to pick up a first down. So I'll fire one out of the gate, Heisman related. What is your Heisman Trophy Mount Rushmore?
Ooh, Mount Rushmore Heisman Trophy.
Heisman Trophy winners.
Yes. One, you always, Archie Griffin's got to be at the top.
Okay.
1-2, so that counts,
2-time.
Yeah.
That alone is a first down.
Absolutely.
That's true.
But I think Archie Griffin for sure. And for me, I'm a little biased. I feel like Billy Sims, just because he had a chance to win it twice, probably should have won it twice.
Yeah.
So I think Billy's up there for me. And then one of my favorite guys, and I'm probably picking this more because of the relationship I have with him, but Tony Dorsett.
Oh, okay. That's
one of the best guys around. Really enjoyed getting to know him.
I like that. I like that. And we're going to count Archie twice because he won twice, so he's going to have
fair enough.
Two heads on Mount
he can book in.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's an 8-yard gain. That was really good. I like throwing in Tony Dorsett as a random one and a guy that you like too. So that's good. Okay, 2nd down. Let's say that Jason White got really angry at Bob Stoops for not getting to play. You want to transfer. The transfer portal, it's rampant right now. You didn't want to transfer out. You stuck it out. Where would you have transferred, or where would you like to transfer if you're Jason White in 2001?
In 2001, I would have transferred probably to Miami.
Oh, okay.
They did recruit me heavy.
Yeah.
And honestly, really wanted to go there until Coach Stoops came into the picture.
Okay.
But at that time, they were rocking and rolling.
Yeah, they were.
And never forget, I remember my freshman year watching the quarterback went down the first game of the year.
Yeah.
They did not have a backup. That would have been me.
Oh.
I would have been a freshman that year.
Okay.
So, but they, I think just because of how good they were, I loved their offense back then. And so I think that's where I would have went.
From Tuttle to South Beach.
I believe the 01 Canes are the best college football team I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And with all due respect to Ken Dorsey, if my man Jason White is quarterbacking that team, man, that would be phenomenal. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a first down, and we're going to attempt to maybe pick up multiple first downs. So Jason White picks up the first down, and we will reset the chains. All right, we'll go another Heisman-related question.
Yep.
I love the Heisman House commercials. Every year I look forward to it when college football season rolls around. I know you've been a part of those. What is your favorite Heisman House story, whether it's on camera, off camera, just the guys being around each other? That's part of what makes those things great, I think.
Right.
So we're in Southern California shooting, and they have a green room for the guys just to hang out. There's food, video, everything in there. So some of the guys were kind of kicking back and forth, and someone said, "Herschel, is it true you do 100 push-ups a day?" And he said, "Yeah, every day." And so it was Nebraska, Mike Rozier.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see you do 100 push-ups. I don't think you can do 100 push-ups. And he set down his Coke, went straight to the ground and did 100 push-ups like that.
Man.
And to see a guy
on the spot.
that age and that kind of shape, it was crazy to see.
Wow.
And so that I definitely remember that because it was like you were on the playground when you know,
can't do that.
you can't do that. There's no way. And then all of a sudden he just wraps them out.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
awesome.
All right, another first down, because that's a great story, and I'm glad to know that he actually does do 100%.
Moving the
possession.
chains
So
here,
it's 2
yeah.
first downs. We're driving is what
All
we're
right.
doing. All right, so this is a related note, another story time for me. You got there right when Brent Venables got there, correct?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite Brent Venables story from that era?
I think my favorite Brent Venables story probably is going to be every day at practice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean,
right. I'm sure.
It was you could always see. So Venables and Mike Stoops, they, you know, obviously they're very similar on their how they act at practice. And so, like if you was to step back and watch him during practice, he goes through the motions.
Oh, like the literal motions.
Yeah, he gets down in a stance and then he moves a little bit. And so we would always stand back. The offensive guys would stand back there and be like, I'm glad our coaches don't do that. You know? So, but, you know, it's just shows how intense he is in the game.
That's awesome.
And he wants to be a part. Like, it's like he's out there going through the motions with them.
Yeah,
But,
that's cool.
you know, that's one of the things I always remember about him is you could always get a laugh. You have the worst day ever, and then just watch a series of him on defense, and you'll be all right.
Watch him get lined up ready to blitz.
Just a total psychopath in the best way possible, right? Let's go touchdown.
Touchdown,
Jason's
Jason White.
moving the
Perfect.
chains, and
Attaboy.
we're going to put one in the end zone
job.
as well. Well done,
Just
Jason
like
White.
old
All right,
times.
let's talk about the Heisman Trophy to wrap up this edition of the end zone. Welcome back one final time to the end zone. Joining us is Jason White this week. I love that you're joining us for Heisman Week. It just kind of worked out that way.
Makes sense.
I'm a big fan of this award and have been since I was as far back as I can remember being a fan of college football. This is a really interesting group of finalists, and it starts with, I think, the odds-on favorite to win it, Travis Hunter, who played in over 1,300 snaps this season. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's. I think that in itself speaks about what this kid's about, and the fact that I feel like he's a good kid off the field as well.
Seems that way.
I love that about him, but I also he plays so many plays. He is the reason that they are as good as they are. I mean, he's accounted for I don't know how many points for them, but it's a lot. But anytime you get an athlete like that on your team, and how could you not have him in the race?
It's a debate between, is it the best player in the country or the most valuable player in the country? Best player is probably Travis Hunter. Most valuable, you've got to think, is Ashton Genty from Boise State. They are nowhere near where they are now in the playoff without him and kind of the historic season that he's had.
Oh, and if you think about that and what he's done at the beginning of the season, it seems like he hit a little bit of a taper towards the end of the season.
Sure.
But if he plays in, let's just say 4 more quarters out of the 8 he actually didn't play, he holds that record.
Easy.
He beats that Barry Sanders record. And so I like the kid. I think he runs hard, and he doesn't ever stop.
No, that is not.
He's elevated his team, and then some people say, well, he's playing against lesser competition.
Yeah.
I don't know how to balance that, but you just watch the guy play. His yards after contact are off the charts, and he is a freak for sure. How about the former Oklahoma quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, who has been terrific all year long and has done nothing but win every game in his path for the Oregon Ducks?
Yeah, great kid. I spent some time with him when he was here at OU. Really like what he's about. I love his work ethic. I love his team concept of everybody being on a team. But look at the year he had this year. You think when he transferred, I was like, why is he transferring? I don't understand that. But he put himself in a great position to have a great year and possibly win a national championship. And he's been the catalyst for that. So once again, another guy that I feel like he has to be on that race.
Easy guy to root for sure. And then quickly, why don't we talk about Cam Ward a little bit too, the other finalist. Obviously spent some time with Ben Arbuckle as his coordinator and is at Miami now playing great. A place you wanted to go to. In the transfer portal, obviously. We just talked about that.
Cam Ward, once again, another guy that had a amazing start to the year.
Yeah, really
and I think, as teams start getting more film on you, as teams start game planning for what you do, I think it stiffens the competition.
Sure.
And so for him, I think towards the end of the year, he kind of that kind of caught up with him a little bit. But once again, outstanding player. And again, another player that if he wasn't where he was at, that team wouldn't be anywhere close.
Yeah.
We got about 30 seconds before we get out of here, but it's such a cool fraternity, and there's going to be a new member, obviously. Just real quickly, I mean, how much do you value being a part of that elite group?
And the older I've gotten, the more I've just figured out, like, this is really special. You know, when you're young and you kind of go through that, you know, as soon as you win it, everybody on that stage says your life has just changed. Never knew what that meant until, you know, probably 5 years afterwards. That's when it started really hitting. But, you know, unbelievable group of guys. I love to be a part of it, and, you know, excited to enter a new member every year.
Absolutely. Jason, we appreciate it. Hope you come back and join us again, but it's been a lot of fun. As we head into Heisman weekend for TJ ECKERT, I'm Colby Daniels. Everybody have a great college football weekend.